Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about why you shouldn't buy a Chanel bag. I feel like a lot of people find my channel through my videos on Chanel bags. I have a lot of them. I know a lot of you are deciding whether it's worth it to save up for one, whether it's right for you. And even though I do have a lot of videos on Chanel, they aren't always that balanced, and often it's just me waxing lyrical about how much I love my Chanel bags, which I do, but I understand how that's not the most balanced of arguments. So I thought I would do this video as kind of the counter argument as to all the reasons why you may not want to get a Chanel bag. So these are all the things that I know about Chanel bags which maybe aren't that great, or otherwise reasons I've heard other people give as to why a Chanel bag hasn't worked for them. So I hope you guys enjoy this and find it useful, and let's get started. So my first reason is the Chanel bag style is a very particular style, which means that it may not work for everyone. I have found this to be true with so many different styles of bag, both from Chanel and also other brands, that I may love the bag objectively, but when I try and incorporate it into my wardrobe, I really struggle. So what I've learned is that just because I like a bag doesn't mean it's always going to work with the clothes I gravitate towards on a daily basis. And I do think that's true even for the Chanel Classic Flap. I absolutely love it and I find it very easy to incorporate into my outfits. But then my style is also very classic. Some might say boring. I prefer to say classic, but I'm not a particularly edgy dresser, which is why the quite conservative look of the Chanel flap works really well. I hear so many people say though that they find this bag a bit too old looking, or they find it too fancy or conservative, and they find it difficult to incorporate into their wardrobe. So that isn't going to be true of everyone, but I definitely think it's worth considering whether you'll be able to incorporate this style of bag into your everyday wardrobe, into the outfits that you wear the most, or whether you only like the bag objectively. My second reason is the sizing. If I'm honest, the sizing with Chanel bags can be a little bit awkward, and I do feel like they need an in-between option. My favorite size is the jumbo. There is one size bigger than this, which is the maxi. I have the jumbo and I love it though. I have owned the maxi and I found it just a little bit too big. But this I find fits a ton of items, and I just love the way it looks as well. But I hear so much that this bag is too big, it's too bulky, and also it's very heavy as well. I personally don't find it to be too heavy, but I'm also very used to carrying the world around in a tote bag on my shoulders, so I am very resilient to heavy bags, so I don't find it to be a problem. But I hear that so much, and I'm also 5'7", so I love the way this bag looks on me, but lots of other people do find it too bulky, and those are the three most common things I hear: too big, too bulky, too heavy. But the next size down is the medium large, and I don't actually have a medium large in my collection anymore, but I do have the small flap, which is very, very similar. The size difference between the two is hardly anything, and you can fit pretty much the same amount of items in each, and the capacity really is not large at all. So as you can see, it's a pretty small bag. You can fit in there your phone, a key holder, maybe a small wallet or a card holder, a bit of makeup, and then you're done. So it really is only the essentials, and as I mentioned, the medium large flap is pretty much the exact same size, only very slightly bigger. So these really aren't suitable for kind of everyday use where you might need to bring a ton of items. For me, these are very much kind of the evening only bags, whereas I can use the jumbo in the day, but I do feel like there should be an in-between size, because the small and the medium large is very small, whereas the jumbo, I do hear a lot of people say, is just too big and bulky. Which goes hand in hand with reason number 3, which is the chain length. Now, the chain length on the jumbo is actually very long. I love it, but again, I'm very particular with this, and lots of people really don't seem to like how long these chains go. The bag does hit quite low as a result of that. If you wanted to just wear it with the single strap, it does look a little bit bulky if you wear it just with a single chain, I think, and it also looks extremely bulky if you wear it crossbody. So I would never really wear it crossbody or with a single chain. For me, this is very much a double chain bag only. Again, I love the drop and how it looks, but it is a very particular or acquired taste, I guess, and not everyone loves how long these chains are. And the complete opposite to that is the small flap, which again is very similar to the medium large flap. They have very similar chain lengths and drops. You can obviously wear this doubled up, and you can wear it just with the single strap as well. But as you can see, it's quite a short strap, so even if you were to wear this just on the shoulder, it does sit very high on me, and I could never wear this bag crossbody because it just just sits too high, and the same goes for the medium large flap as well. I would never personally wear that bag crossbody. It just comes up way too high on me. If you're very petite, you might be able to get away with it, but generally speaking, I think these bags are more suited to wearing on the shoulder because of how short the chain length is. So that is definitely something to think about. Obviously, these are small niggles, but they do limit the usage and how versatile the bags are, which obviously speaks to how often you'll be able to use the bag. My fourth reason is versatility. There is no getting away from it. These are very fancy bags, and they're fancy looking bags as well. Everything from the CC turn lock to the chains, the hardware, everything about it says it's a fancy bag, I think. And because of that, it does limit the versatility. I've never used these bags as everyday bags, nor will I ever use them as everyday bags, I don't think. For me, they're just not suitable for every kind of occasion. And even though I use my Chanel bags a lot, and certainly the jumbo, again, they're still not daily bags for me. So I think it's important to think about your lifestyle, how much you're going to use it as well. A very common thing I hear is that even though a person may love this bag, they just don't seem to reach for it enough. So I make a conscious effort to use my bag, so pretty much every time I go out for anything really, I will usually grab a Chanel bag, but I still don't use these every day, which means that the cost per wear is really affected, and it's obviously better for my black one just because I've had it for 7 or 8 years now, and I've used it consistently throughout those years. But certainly for my newer Chanel bags, the cost per wear is really bad because of how expensive they are and how often I get to use them, because I don't think that they're suitable for every occasion. So definitely, I would think carefully about your lifestyle and how often you'll be able to use these, because I do think cost per wear is an important measure, and because these are so expensive, sometimes the cost per wear isn't so great. My fifth reason is probably the biggest factor that many of you are struggling with when it comes to deciding on a Chanel bag, which is price. Let's be real, these are extraordinarily expensive bags, and they're only getting more expensive as well. Chanel, I think, are the worst brand out there for price increases. Not only are they very frequent, but they're also really large as well. So they don't increase by £20, they increase by £400, which is just insane. I know when I bought my black jumbo, which is about 7 or 8 years ago, it was just after a really big price increase, and I think I got mine for £2,400, and I think it just increased by like £400. I almost cried when buying it because I just couldn't believe a couple of months earlier I could have saved myself £400. It's a large percentage of the overall cost, and I just thought it was an insane price increase. I obviously got it, and I was really happy that I did because I love this bag to bits, but little did I know, a few years later, they'd be even more crazy. I bought my second jumbo last year for $4,400. I didn't think that there would be another price increase so soon. I wasn't trying to beat that price increase, but I'm very glad I got this when I did, because now the price of this bag is £4,800, and actually the maxi is £5,200. So the larger size has now surpassed the £5,000 mark, which is just totally insane to me. And truth be told, I don't know whether I would have bought this bag had it been at the current price then at $4,800, because for me, £5,000 is very much a limit. I just don't think I'd spend £5,000 on a bag, at least not with my kind of current financial situation. £5,000 is it's just too much money to me to spend on a bag, and $4,800 is getting very, very close to that. So I can't say whether I would, but they are certainly getting increasingly crazy in terms of price. And I think you really have to think about whether, one, you love the bag that much, and also if there's anything else you can do with that money. You know, £5,000 is a chunk of a way towards a housing deposit. It's a car, it's a really fancy holiday. You know, you can do so many things with that amount of money. So £5,000 for a bag is just enormous, and it's just going to come down to, you know, how much you want it and personal circumstance and all that kind of stuff, but it certainly is a large amount of money, and I'm not totally convinced it's justified anymore. Which brings me to my next point, which is because there have been so many price increases in quite a short space of time, there is a big chance that you could be buying at the top of the market. And, you know, obviously Chanel bags aren't stocks or anything like that, but if you were thinking about resale value, and if you like Chanel because it is quite a sure thing in terms of if you make a mistake buying a Chanel bag, chances are you'll be able to sell it and recoup what you paid for it. If you buy at the top of the market, that doesn't always necessarily hold true. So that's definitely something to consider. I didn't think that Chanel Jumbos would reach the 5K mark. It looks like they're probably going to, but I don't think Chanel are going to sustain this level of price increases forever, because I just don't think that they can. You know, I don't think people are buying £10,000 Chanel bags unless they do something crazy like introduce real gold, you know, Chanel clasps, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I do think that there's a ceiling on the price increases. Obviously inflation happens, so there will always be price increases, but certainly at this level, I don't think that they're going to continue forever. So you do have to factor in whether you want to be buying right at the height of the price increases, or maybe even, you know, whether a different style of bag is better for you, or if you want to go down the pre-love route instead. And reason number 7 is the quality. There is a lot of debate about this, and I've got to say I'm one of the more skeptical people where I don't feel like the quality has drastically gone down. I think if you are, some people are like, oh, Chanel quality is terrible. I don't personally think that's true. I've not had that experience, and I've always found Chanel customer service to be amazing whenever I have had an issue, which has been very, very rare. But I will say that obviously there have been more reports of kind of quality issues. I do think that's down to 2 factors. So one, I think that Chanel are producing more Chanel bags than ever to keep up with global demand. Chanel's popularity is only increasing. They seem to sell out of things all the time. I think they are producing more to keep up with that demand. And obviously when you produce more, there are going to be more errors in manufacturing. The second reason is social media, whereas I think before, if there was an issue with a bag, you wouldn't have heard about it, because I certainly don't know tons of people who like Chanel bags. The only reason people hear about it now is because of social media. You know, people talk about it, they post pictures, and that spreads. So I'm not sure that the quality issues with Chanel are as bad as some people make out. But I would say I don't think that Chanel quality is increasing, which when coupled with the fact that obviously their price increases happen on a very regular basis, that is something that you have to ask yourself whether you're happy to buy into, with the knowledge that I don't think Chanel quality is increasing, certainly not at the level that their prices are, and whether you're happy with that trade-off of paying more for either the same or potentially less. Which brings me to my last point, which is buying into the hype around these bags. There is no doubt about it. There is a lot of hype about the Chanel Classic Flap. Luxury brands spend a lot of time and money and effort to ensure that there's hype. That's why Hermes Birkins are so difficult to get, and often why I'll hear a waiting list when there never used to be for the Chanel Classic Flap. Luxury brands do this to try and build hype, and no doubt there is a lot of hype about this bag, and I feel like if you're into handbags and you like luxury, there's almost the expectation that you should want to get a Chanel bag. But that doesn't mean to say that this bag is going to be right for everyone, and I know lots of people who have lusted after this bag for so long and either gone into the store and have been really underwhelmed by it, or otherwise did actually buy it, got it home, and they just didn't feel the same excitement. So I don't think that this bag is right for everyone, and sometimes once you get something you realize that actually it isn't all that it's cracked up to be. And there are going to be many examples of this. For me, it's the Hermes Birkin. You know, it's a very iconic bag, and lots of people think that if you're into handbags you should absolutely want an Hermes Birkin. That's the ultimate handbag goal. But every time I think about getting one, I have to sit myself down and have a talking to, because I just know that the only reason I would want to get a Birkin is because of some status or something involved with it. I'm not even sure why, but I know that I don't really like the Birkin that much, and you know, if someone gave me one I wouldn't say no, but that's certainly not a good enough reason to spend all that money and go to all that effort to try and get one, when I know that I only just kind of like it, and the reasons for me getting it wouldn't be anything to do with the actual bag itself. I would rather have a Chanel Jumbo any day of the week, and I'm so lucky to already have one of these, so it does not make sense for me to go for a Birkin. But even I get tricked into thinking maybe I should get one, maybe I should have a Birkin in my collection because I like handbags so much, and of course that's just nonsense. So I definitely think it's worthwhile having a think whether you absolutely love the bag and the style, or if you're just buying into the hype a little bit. So that is it for this video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any reasons which you think I missed out, then leave them for me down below. I'd love to read about them. And if you enjoyed the video, please do give this a thumbs up. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.